Vladimir Putin will be president for life. Prime Minister Modi of India was the first foreign leader to have called Putin to congratulate him. What for? Russia has passed a referendum that gives Putin another 12 years as president. His current term ends in 2024. Add 12 years to that, and we have Putin as Russia's leader till 2036. 36 years, the longest serving leader of Russia, longer than Stalin, who ruled for 29 years. Putin grew up in the Soviet Union. He was part of the Soviet machinery. He takes pride in the Soviet glory, and yet he manages to distance himself from the decay that marked the USSR. He's often been called the new Tsar of Russia, a leader who has destroyed all political opposition and wins elections with landslides. Tonight we'll tell you the story of Putin, the making of the Tsar. Putin was born to working-class parents in a house that is said to be infested with rats and smelled of cabbage stew. He was rebellious. Children carried flowers for teachers in Russia then. In the USSR, Putin took a potted plant. He was caught with a knife in school and denied membership to the youth wing of the Soviet Communist Party. He called himself a hooligan. He played a guitar, listened to contraband Beatles records. His father pushed him to take up boxing. A punch broke his nose and he gave up. Then he took up judo. It suited him better because he was short and thin. Putin says martial arts transformed his life, gave him a means of asserting himself. His first leadership role came in the middle school. He was a school's leader for the Communist Party. His dream was to become a Soviet secret agent, a dream that he could never fulfill, even though he joined the KGB in 1975. After the course, Putin was evaluated as quote-unquote mediocre, withdrawn and uncommunicative. He got one foreign posting in Dresden in East Germany. Heroism came after the fall of the Berlin Wall. There were protests. An angry mob surrounded the KGB office. They had one guard and 4 officers. Lieutenant Colonel Putin was the senior most. He called Moscow, but he got no help. So Putin wore his uniform, he stepped out at midnight and he bluffed. He told the protesters his guards had weapons and they would shoot. The crowd dispersed. In March 1989, the Soviet Union had its first election. Putin's introduction to politics was through his former law professor, Anatoly Sobchak. It was thanks to him that Putin landed on the right side of the collapse of the Soviet Union. He rose through the ranks. He went on to become the right-hand man of President Boris Yeltsin. December 14, 1999, Yeltsin held a secret meeting with Putin. He was stepping down, he said, and he wanted Putin to take over. Putin is said to have described presidency then as a quote-unquote difficult destiny, but he took it. And for 16 days, Putin kept the news to himself. On December 30th, 1999, Yeltsin shared the news in a televised address, and Putin's wife learned about it only when people called to congratulate. He did not tell his own wife that he was going to be president of Russia. Putin mastered the use of media to his advantage. As a young member of the mayor's team in St. Petersburg, he commissioned a television documentary to introduce himself to Russia, a documentary hosted by the top television face of the time. He did not expunge his KGB past. He only distanced himself from their crimes. He said his experience in dealing with foreign forces would come in handy to lead a new Russia. And to this day, propaganda movies remain a hallmark of Putin's political journey. His initial years in power saw the economy steadying in Russia. He was seen as a reformer, cutting taxes, expanding property rights. But soon he unleashed a new kind of authoritarianism. He used national security as an excuse to tighten his grip on power. 2 terms as president from 2000 to 2008. Then 1 term as prime minister till 2012, because the constitution did not allow him more than 2 terms. In 2012, when his trusted deputy stepped aside, Putin took the presidential office again, this time for 2 6-year terms. And now he'll rule practically as long as he wants to. He's already 67 years old, with another 16 years secured. Vladimir Putin took an unexpected path to power in Russia, brutally crushing revolts and silencing critics to keep the crown of his country.